Rhesus factor is another antigen of red blood cell which is mostly observed in the people of Britain, 85%. It was first identified in rhesus monkey. People who have this rhesus factor are termed as rhesus positive or H positive, and people who do not have this factor are termed as Rh negative. The Rh positive blood of the man marries Rh negative of woman, then antibodies will be formed. Some of the children are likely to be Rh positive. During the birth of the baby, always there is a mixing of blood between the circulation of mother and baby. This transferring of blood takes place in the course of pregnancy. So, if a child is Rh positive, some of its blood flows into the mother's circulation and cause antibodies to form in her blood. It is to be noted that, suppose if the mother has more children, then it is not necessary to have Rh positive for all the children. But if such situation occurs where all the children have same Rh positive group, then the amount of antibody increases in her blood with each pregnancy. And in some cases, the antibodies in her blood may pass into the bodies in sufficient quantities to produce very serious anemia, and even sometimes it leads to death. Fortunately, these cases occur rarely. Even if they occur, the baby is given a complete transfusion soon after birth so that its blood is replaced by blood containing no antibodies to the rhesus factor. Nowadays, it is also possible for this transfusion to be carried out before birth. Another recently developed technique to prevent Rh positive cells in mother from stimulating the production of the harmful antibody is that the mother should be given an injection shortly after the birth of her first child. Now, let us learn about thalassemia, which is caused due to deficiency of hemoglobin in red blood cells. Thalassemia is a group of inherited blood disorders that leads to anemia and even death if it is left without treatment. This is caused mainly by the deficiency of hemoglobin in red blood cells. There are two main types of thalassemia. They are alpha thalassemia, beta thalassemia. Symptoms of thalassemia: anemia, enlarged liver and spleen, increased susceptibility to infections, slow growth, thin and brittle bones, and heart failure. Let us know the facts about thalassemia. Thalassemia is a serious group of inherited blood disorder. Around 4.5% of world population are suffering from this thalassemia minor. Around 35 million Indians are carriers of abnormal gene for thalassemia. It is estimated that every year around 1 lakh infants are born around the world with major hemoglobinopathies. It is estimated that in India, every year around 10,000 to 12,000 children are born with thalassemia. Thalassemia can be controlled depending on repeated blood transfusion and costly medicines. Thalassemia can be prevented by awareness, premarital or preconceptual screening followed by antenatal diagnosis. Let us learn how the thalassemia disease is cured or treated. Thalassemia measure should be detected as early as possible in order to prevent growth restriction, frail bones and infections in the first year of life. Therefore, the children's hemoglobin levels and development should be monitored personally. Suppose if hemoglobin of the child is lower than 70% or the child shows signs of poor growth in development, then the regular transfusion is the treatment of choice. According to the World Health Organization, WHO, the target of this treatment is to maintain a normal value of hemoglobin, say 115 to 120 grams per liter. This can be achieved by carrying out transfusions of concentrated red blood cells at intervals of every 3 to 4 weeks. Nowadays, thalassemia major can be cured by stem cell transplantation. Suppose if the affected individual has siblings with similar type tissue, HLA type, a transplantation of blood stem cells called bone marrow transplant can be carried out. Match the following. Note: select suitable answer from Group B for Group A and drop it in bracket provided against A. Keywords. List of keywords are given on screen. Let us recap the highlights of this chapter. The pulse rate is equal to heartbeat. Heart is located between the two lungs protected by ribcage. Generally, the size of your heart is approximately the size of your fist. Heart is covered with two pericardial membranes filled with pericardial fluid, which protects it from shocks. 6 blood vessels are attached to the heart. The 2 rigid blood vessels are arteries which supply blood to body parts, aorta and lungs, and pulmonary artery. Heart has 4 chambers, 2 upper atria, 2 lower ventricles. Atrium and ventricle of the same side are connected by atrium-ventricular aperture. The right side of heart receives blood from body and sends to lungs. The right side of the body receives blood from lungs and sends it to body parts. All arteries carry oxygenated blood except pulmonary artery. The veins carry deoxygenated blood except pulmonary veins. Blood capillaries are the microscopic vessels made up of single-layer cells. They allow diffusion of various substances. One contraction and relaxation of heart is called cardiac cycle. The aperture between the auricles and ventricles are closed by a valve. When these valves are closed forcibly, a sharp sound lub is heard from heart. The valves present in the blood vessels get closed in order to prevent backward flow of blood into the ventricles. Now, we can listen to a dull sound of the heart. The whole process gets completed in approximately 0.8 seconds. In Latin, lymph means water. To transport the tissue fluid into the main bloodstream, a separate system called as lymphatic system is present. Lymph acts as the link between blood and tissues, through which essential substances pass from blood to cells and excretory products from cells to blood. In case of single circulation, the blood flows through the heart only once for completing one circulation. In double circulation, blood flows through the heart twice, completing one circulation. BP is always measured at an upper arm artery. People who have high BP during rest period will have hypertension. Vitamin K deficiency leads to delayed coagulation of blood. This deficiency in vitamin occurs due to genetic defect. This type of defect is called hemophilia. Plants absorb soil water through roots by the process of osmosis. Water travels through xylem vessels and food material travels through phloem vessels. Food such as sugar gets synthesized in the green parts of plants, mainly in the leaves, but this food needs to be transported in all the living cells, especially the parts which are actively growing and the parts which store food. With the help of aphids, greenfly, biologists studied about food transportation in plants. To obtain this juice, an aphid penetrates into the plant tissues with its long needle-like organ called proboscis. Read the questions and attempt the answers on your own. You can click answer for your reference. Follow-up work. Take up the following activities. Observe the pulse rate of students in your class. Do the experiment by swinging your arms in order to observe the swellings when you have pushed blood against the valves. Visit a slaughterhouse and collect a heart of goat or sheep, hen, and a bird. Find out the shape and size variations and know how it functions. Prepare a model of heart with the help of your friends. Observe barks of trees in your surroundings and note the species of tree, the position of the damage, whether the damage is recent or old, and the size of tooth marks is visible. From these observations, identify which species had caused the damage. Make a model of stethoscope by using paper cup and plastic tube and write down the procedure for its preparation. Collect information about blood pressure of your school teachers or neighbors. Prepare a report on their health problems. Drawing skills. The drawing section helps you to sketch images in a step-by-step manner. Test your understanding of the chapter by taking the mock unit test.